October 7th, 1988, the first crack in God. Before I ever questioned Rome, I questioned death. Before I knew the word colonizer, I knew grief. Before I studied theology, anthropology, psychology, indigenous history, church history, witch trials, sacred texts, or patriarchal empire, I was 12 years old in Wisconsin, trying to understand why 5 girls were gone. Nicole, Jody, Brenda, Laura, and Jessie. 5 names, 5 lives. 5 girls from Pulaski, October 7th, 1988, did not just break a community. It broke the container I had been handed for God. The crack in God did not begin with a doctrine. It began in a child's body. It began earlier than that, if I tell the whole truth. It began when I was 8, my parents divorced, when the house split into 2 languages and I was expected to carry messages between adults who should have carried their own weight. I was the oldest daughter. That meant I became a little pigeon flying back and forth between rooms of anger. I learned how quickly children became useful to adults who do not know how to speak to each other without bleeding on the child standing in between them. After the divorce, my horse was sold. People who have never loved an animal like kin may not understand the size of that wound. Lucky was not just a horse. Lucky was freedom, muscle, breath, trust, a body larger than mine that did not lie to me. When Lucky was gone, something in me understood loss before I had language for grief. I'd already learned that adults could make choices that rearranged a child's nervous system and then call the child dramatic for reacting. At 9, I was assaulted by a babysitter's son. I told adults I was not believed the way a child should be believed. That's one of the first betrayals many girls learn. Your body can know the truth, and the adults can still protect the comfort of the room. I'm not writing the details for strangers to consume. I'm naming the pattern because silence is one of the ways patriarchal empire survives. It trains children to doubt the evidence of their own bodies. When my stepfather entered the house after my father left, the air changed again. Some things were too sexual, too gross, too inappropriate for a girl to have to measure. Whether a man means harm on purpose or moves through a home with no awareness of the young female body watching him, the effect can still feel like violation. Children do not always have the language for boundaries. They just know when the room feels wrong. On the other side of the family, my father moved into my grandmother's basement. My grandfather and uncles carried their own violence in their voices. There was racism in the air, and there was cruelty in the way men spoke to one another. My grandfather was a truck driver, and later, in the mid-1990s, he was arrested for illegal gun trafficking. Both of my father's brothers served time for drug possession. Around Green Bay, my family name did not float clean above the street. It carried reputation, secrets, and men who thought anger was inheritance. So by the time October 7th, 1988 arrived, I was not a blank child receiving grief for the first time. I was already a girl with fractures. The deaths of Nicole, Jody, Brenda, Laura, and Jessie did not create the first wound. Their deaths shattered the story that all of this could be explained by good behavior, church attendance, and obedience. The wreck made the crack visible. My mother admitted me to Bell and Psych after the girls died. I was 12, broken, angry, and absolutely impossible to manage inside the vocabulary my family had. I ran. That running was not rebellion for rebellion's sake. It was a young body refusing to be sealed inside a lie. I did not have theology. I had feet. I did not have a dissertation. I had a survival instinct. That was the beginning of my deconstruction at age 12. When adults say a child is acting out, they often mean the child is telling the truth with the only tools available. I was not trying to be bad. I was trying to stay alive in a world where death had become real, men had become unsafe, family had become unstable, my horse had been sold, and God had become too small to hold any of it. This is the first page of the book because everything that follows grows from that moment. A girl, 5 names, a sold horse, a split family, a violated boundary, a psych ward, and a body that ran toward the only freedom I could imagine. The brown-skinned mystic arrives tomorrow on the Aquarius full moon, everywhere you buy books online.